Welcome to The Pivot, stories of people who made a change. My name is Andrew Osenga, and my guest today is Josh Wilson. Josh is a singer, songwriter, amazing musician, guitar player. His latest single is called Who's My Neighbor? And guys, I am his neighbor. I am his actual neighbor. He lives at the end of my cul-de-sac, and that is fantastic. Josh and his family are some of our closest family friends. It is the actual best. Quite literally, my daughter, who's 20 and is off in college, has Josh and Becca in her phone as Uncle Josh and Aunt Becca. That's how close we are and how just sweet and wonderful they are. So in this new season of The Pivot, this is not the first episode that is being released, but it is the first one that I actually recorded. Right as the podcast was finishing a few years ago, I was watching Josh make this giant life transition very privately. Only his friends knew what was going on. And in the past year, 2 years, he started talking about it publicly. And it's been really beautiful watching him get to the point where it was something that he could share, which was to talk about addiction and alcoholism. And I think we've probably all watched people wrestle with that. I don't know that I've seen many people wrestle with it in a better way than I've watched Josh do it. And I watched it up close. It was pretty miraculous. And to now be in a place where he can tell that story and to get to be a part of him telling that story publicly is just such a gift. Also, like I said, he's just one of my good friends and I love him dearly and it's so fun to be with him. And I couldn't be more glad that he lives down the street from me. We literally have matching dogs. We'll talk about that. But I know that we are in an era of such crazy division and anger and choosing hard sides left and right. And people are evil if they disagree in any way. And people and families aren't talking to each other and friendships are ending and politics are dividing people in just the craziest ways. And we're seeing just awful things happening and people treating each other in ways we could never have imagined. And Josh is writing songs that are speaking so carefully and kindly about how we love one another because of who Jesus is, because of what he believes is true. That is a courageous thing to do right now. That kind of stuff is no small thing. And he's been doing that for a long time. He does it in real life, and I watch it. I watch him do it and in quiet ways that nobody sees. He's done it for me and my family. I watch him do it for other neighbors. When he sings about it, it's real. Sometimes in the Christian media world, we hear music or see movies or see TV preachers, and we can just kind of tell that things aren't real, that things feel fake and plastic. Josh is not that. And I know it because I've seen it in real life. And I know that we all need people to care for us that way. And I hope that all makes us become people who care about people that way. Because that's what this world needs, is people who can love despite the differences, who can love our neighbor and love our enemy as Christ has called us to do. And right now that is a counter-cultural way to live. It's always been a countercultural way to live. So we'll talk a little about career today, but this is a lot more about heart transformation and what it means to care for one another. And then we also just hang out and are friends. And sometimes we just need to hang out with our friends. That's a good thing to do. So guys, let's hang out with Josh Wilson. We are literally 10 houses away.
I bet I could throw a tennis ball and hit your house while we're on this call.
It might need to bounce
maybe
once or twice.
A few, yeah.
But you could.
I bet I could golf from here to there. It's a par 2 from here to your house.
I know for a fact that from my house to your house on a Razor scooter, I don't have to kick one time.
Well,
because we've tried this a bunch of times.
the grade from your house to mine is just a
Yeah.
bit downhill.
Yeah.
I might have to kick a little more from here to there, but I would kick for you, Andy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I would kick for you.
So I was thinking this morning, as I was just kind of thinking about what we would talk about today, and the fact that we would be in our respective basements, that there's something really cool about us doing this from our respective studios, because you recorded, I think, your first album down here in my studio, and I recorded my favorite album of mine in your basement, in your studio, The Painted Desert, because you were so kind and let me use your studio, because at the moment, that was when I was in my midlife crisis. I didn't have a place to work, and you were like, use my studio. And so I made my favorite record in your basement, and you made your first record here, here in my basement. And here we are in our basements talking.
In each other's basements.
That's pretty fun.
You know what would have been really funny is if I was broadcasting from your basement and you were here.
I did think about it.
Yeah, next time. Next time.
Yeah,
I have a lot of good memories, lots of good memories from the record I made at your place. That was my second independent album.
Okay, it was your second record.
And is your studio, is it still called the Velvet Eagle?
It doesn't have a name anymore. I got rid of the Eagle and the Velvet. So there was a reason that...
I think it's a cool name, and you should bring it back. But yeah, that was my second independent album that you co-produced. And I think at the time, you just had Ella, and I don't think Sadie was born.
No, it was just, she was a baby. And she's 20
Crazy.
Now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, here we are.
The other thing, and we'll get to the things we're actually going to talk about, but the other thing, I'm intentionally wearing a pair of shorts that you gave me, because this morning I was like, oh, I'm going to wear Josh's shorts, because you lost some weight, and then you were like, oh, I can't wear these shorts anymore, but Andy's a little fat, he can wear them, and so...
I think those were my exact words. I said to you. Yeah.
The good news is, I need a belt now. They're a little, I've been hiking, and they're falling off a little bit. So that's good.
And to clarify, I did not say that. And I was actually wondering, because you've been walking now at Radnor Lake for over a year, right? Year and a half.
You joined me. Yeah, it's fun.
You're looking great.
I was not asking for a compliment. I was just saying that I'm wearing your old shorts. So, Josh, first of all, thank you for joining me here on the podcast. I'm excited that it's been 4 years since I've done this podcast. We did about 100 episodes, and I loved doing it.
That's wild.
And I missed doing it, and so I'm excited to be back. And I'm really excited to get to talk with you. And we had talked about doing this back then, but I remember you saying, I don't feel like I'm ready back then. And we actually had that conversation a couple times. And when I asked you about it now, you were like, oh, totally. I'm totally ready. Yeah. Which I think is really fun. And so I'd love to talk about why your answer is different.
Sure.
And I thought, honestly, maybe we could just start there. Why is your answer different?
When you asked me 4 years ago, I think if I, at the time, would have talked about the pivot I was making, it would have been from, honestly, it wasn't much of a pivot. It was from one, that's music-wise, work-wise, from one record label to another. I think that's all I would have had to talk about, which is kind of boring. And I think the difference now, as far as work goes, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm independent now, so that's a bit of a work pivot. But I think now the main difference is I am being public and open about my previous alcohol addiction and talking about it on and off the stage and in my songs. And I was sober at the time you asked. You knew that, being a close friend of mine. But I wasn't speaking publicly about that. And I knew that I wanted to, but I was kind of worried what people would think. And so about 2 years ago, I finally was like, you know what? I think it's time. I was just over 5 years sober, and I'm a pretty private person. And so I had not really brought that up publicly for various reasons. One of which was what I said, worrying about what people would think. How can you be singing about the hope you have, and your faith when you're sort of hiding this addiction. And now I'm like, well, I think this is the reason I have faith, is because I don't have easy answers to hard questions, and because I'm kind of messed up, and I needed to really lean into my faith, and I had to ask for help from God and from others to quit that addiction. I think we can go into as much of that as you want to, but I think I was using the alcohol to try and help myself, and that didn't work. And so then I had to get real help, which included quitting drinking. I had to figure out, well, what my counselor says, I had to figure out what I was drinking at. Alcohol is more of a symptom than the actual problem.
What I was drinking at. Okay, you're going to have to explain that. That's a really fascinating sentence.
Well, I remember growing up, I've always had lots of questions. I'm kind of, my brain is sort of a devil's advocate brain. It's hard for me to take a hard position on any topic. And I think that's just the way, like, if you say, this is what I believe, it's not that I'm against you, but I immediately will start thinking about the other side. And I'll say, but what about?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could literally be like, okay, I changed my mind. Now I believe this. Then I'd be like, oh, but what about? And I've always had a lot of questions and always wanted to get to the bottom of any given subject. And so I remember in high school and in college, laying in bed at night, just kind of pondering the existential questions, God's existence, whether or not I believe what's real. And if so, am I doing it right? And if not, what does that mean? And it would keep me awake. And I didn't realize this, but I think when I started drinking, I drank in moderation. It wasn't a problem for a number of years. But when it became a problem, I think I was drinking to turn down those questions, to turn down the volume on the anxiety and sort of the existential hum that was always there. And I didn't realize this until I quit, because when I quit, they came back. And I started laying in bed at night thinking all these big questions with no answers. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I even realized that the alcohol protected me from these questions.
So once you dealt with the alcohol, then you still had to deal with those questions.
And still do.
What does that mean?
Yeah. It was hitting a mute button on a problem that it didn't go away. It just was quiet for a second. And then, and my problem, I was self-medicating anxiety with alcohol, and it would help me. I thought it would help me sort of relax and go to sleep at night. And so I would drink most nights before bed, and it eventually it got to the point where I had to drink to fall asleep. And it was, in the morning, in the clarity of the morning light and a hangover, that I was like, this is not a solution. Yeah. This is making it worse. Now I have existential questions and a headache.
And you're a morning person.
I am. Yeah. So I think that's the difference. When you ask me this time, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just talking about it, because a couple things happened. First is I realized it's just more fun to be honest and tell the truth. Like in my songwriting and in my own personal life with friends and family, I just kind of tell the truth. And it's not that I air all my dirty laundry. I don't want to do that, but I'm the Venn diagram of who people think I am and who I actually am. I'm trying to close as much as possible in an appropriate way.
Man, that's interesting. Yeah, because your new record is called Mental Help. And I'm happy to talk about the record, but I'm interested even in more about how you got to the point of talking about, or how you think about bringing that work into, bringing that mental health work into your 9-to-5 work. What was the thought process to say, I want to share this. I think this might be helpful for people. I need to be honest because this is art. But also I need to keep keep this private? Like, how did you navigate that?
I can't remember who said this. Maybe you could help me. People say to speak from your scars and not your open wounds. Do you know,
Oh,
have you heard
wow. No,
this?
but that's really good.
It's attributed to somebody. I don't want to look it up right now, but I think that's a great quote. And they said, you don't want to speak from your open wounds because you don't want to bleed all over everybody. And I
Mm.
think sometimes you hear someone, as far as, a songwriter, introduce a song and say, this is something I have gone through, or this is something I got through. And I remember there was a time that I wanted an artist to say, here's something I am going through and have not figured out. And I think maybe that's okay for certain things. But again, I don't think we should necessarily burden others, because I think
Hmm.
Jason Gray, who I'm touring with right now, he says the moment that you sort of say, I'm currently dealing with this and it's a problem, you're asking something from your
Yeah.
audience rather than giving them something. And that, I don't think that's necessarily what you want to do. I mean, I want to give my songs to people and not ask them to support me or feel bad for me. So that's part of the reason I didn't talk about these things for so long after I quit drinking. One reason was I wasn't sure I was going to be able to stay quit. I
Yeah. Hmm.
truly, like, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. The first year or two, first year was really touch and go.
Hmm.
I would cry myself to sleep for different reasons, and so that's one reason I didn't say anything. And then the second reason is I wanted enough time to be able to reflect a little bit and then talk about it. And the reason I do it now is because I hope that when I speak about these things honestly, my things specifically are anxiety, depression, and addiction that I've dealt with. I hope that when someone hears me talk about those things pretty casually and trying to kind of normalize these things, I hope it's disarming in the sense that, oh, if someone hears it, whether in conversation or in a song, they think, okay, yeah, it's normal to deal with these kinds of things. And he got help, and I'm talking about how I got help. And I truly hope that my experience can help others to get out of the pit. I was in the pit for so long without hope, thinking I was never going to get out. Truly, I'm 41 now, and I guess let's see, if it's been 8 years, I quit when I was about 33. Yeah, 8 years next
Wow,
month,
man.
July 21st.
That's a big deal.
And when I quit, I was 33. And before I quit, because I tried so many times on my own, and I'd go for a couple weeks and I'd fail because the anxiety would ramp up and I would go back to it. But I was like, man, when I'm in my 40s, this will catch up to me, whether it's liver problems or cancer and so it got dark there for a little bit.
Mm.
I wasn't planning on being around, and I didn't know how to solve that problem. And what did it for me was telling a friend. I told our mutual friend James. I called him. I was like, dude, I'm drinking too much. I'm telling you now in the morning light when I'm clear headed, because I need to get some help. And I'm telling you now because by tonight I want to go right back to it.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of help for me.
So let me ask you a different question. Like, why do you think it's so unusual for artists in the world that we live in the Christian music world, to kind of talk about this stuff? You and I both know that Christian artists are human beings.
Yeah.
But you're one of a very short list of people who's really actually shared some human things like this. What's your thinking about it? I've got my theories. You've heard my theories. I'm curious what you think.
I loved your Substack. I just read it this morning, by the way. Okay. Well, let me just spitball, because
And if I put you
I
on the
can think
spot,
of-
we'll edit it out.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Because I think there's three layers to this. The first is just a human layer. Like any human, whatever they believe, isn't going to want to admit. Let's just talk about alcohol, but it could be anything.
Sure.
A problem with alcohol. You don't want to admit that because it's a shameful thing. Here I am addicted to this thing and I can't quit. So just like as a person, as a human, all sort of faith and religious stuff aside, that's one layer.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like admitting things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's embarrassing. And also, like, if you're sort of in the throes of addiction, I knew that the moment I let the cat out of the bag, I would have to let go of my little pet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked it, you know? I mean, it was just destroying me, but I wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't something pleasurable about it. So the minute you say something, okay, well, let's work on it.
Tim Timmons says. So the next, Tim Timmons has this little joke whenever there's a big group of people. He'll be like, "Hey, let's go around and say your name, where you're from, and your last moral failure." And I was I'm like, yeah, because we've all got one, you know. Yeah,
that's right. Well, 100%, and that is funny that we all have them, but we don't like to talk about them. So there's the human layer, then there's the sort of Christian layer, and American Christianity. We like to button ourselves up and clean ourselves up and sort of, I say we, I'll just say I like to come across a certain way. And if I'm a Christian, I would like to act like my life is different in some way. It's kind of a pride thing, I guess. So there's that layer. So a human, you don't want to say it. Christian, you're not supposed to say it. And then since I sing and write and play in front of people, there's that layer too of like, you're literally going on stage to present yourself. And so you kind of have to decide what to share, what not to share, and to share just the right amount so that people will keep coming to shows.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your questions on why it's hard for Christians, or even, like you said, people in our circle to share those things. But I think it's risky as a human, as a Christian, and as an artist. All three of those things, at least in my mind, are like, man, all these things could be at risk.
Gosh. That's a really insightful way to break that down.
What are your thoughts? You said you've got thoughts.
Oh, I've got so many thoughts. Now I'm pondering your thoughts. Yeah, I do think there's a weight of expectation. I'll say specifically around the musician role. In any other genre, the music is separate from the artist, right? Like, we know Michael Jackson did terrible things, but we still like Thriller, right? Like, we're sort of like, we know it's a little tricky. Do we listen to R. Kelly? I don't know. But we know when a Christian does something, like, you just can't, right? Because you just can't separate the art from the artist, because the artist is the art in a different way, because we are a genre defined by who we are. And Sabrina Carpenter is not defined by her morality. Oh, I mean, her art is not defined by her morality in that same way. Whether or not it should.
And the things we write about are, as those of us who are writing about faith and about following Jesus, we're writing very aspirational songs of things we hope to be and things we want to be. And so, and so then you feel like you're supposed to be held to that standard of a life that's been changed. And, you know.
Yeah, you wrote a song. There's a lot of, that was Then, This Is Now, which is an amazing song that you wrote. Yeah. And then your life changed years later.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so true. It's so true. I think some of my songs were, still are, probably me trying to write myself out of a problem.
Dude.
And I'm writing with aspirations rather than experience.
Isn't that so much of what we do? I mean, I just say that from my experience. I feel like often my songs are a few years ahead of my life. Like you
Oh,
write something and then years later you go, "Oh, I was working that out." And the I
yeah.
wrote the song about it and then my life caught up to it. I finally became the person I wanted to be in
Mm,
that song, you know.
yeah. That's so true.
And it's like you identify it first by putting it on paper and putting it in that song and it's like now you have a north star to go, "Yeah, that is who I want to be." I don't know.
That's a really good point because, like, I talk about the big questions and trying to figure out what I believe and why I believe, and I think each song you're kind of chipping away at that a little bit more.
Mm,
Um, it's like wrestling with, because as you know, we've written songs together. Songwriting is doing exactly what we're doing. It's talking and
yeah.
working it out, and you're getting there, and then putting it into a catchy chorus or whatever. But like along the way, you're kind of going, yeah, this is more of who I want to be. And then, yeah, if in Christian music, if you come out with a song like that was then, this is now, it's like, well, who were you and who are you? And I'm like, well, kind of the same guy.
Yeah. Oh my
I
gosh.
still play that song, it means something different to me now, but um, I still believe it. I just don't know that it's not as black and white as I used to think it was.
Oh man. It's kind of beautiful. It's kind of beautiful. I love that. Well, you've also made some changes in the way that you go about your career. So, I mean, you came out of college right into a record deal, right? Is that how
Yeah.
it happened for
Yes.
you?
The person at my label called me the day I graduated. My parents were in town from Texas at Belmont to go to my graduation. We were in the hotel. He calls me and I put it on speakerphone so my parents can hear him say, "We'd like to officially offer you a record
Okay, that's
contract." So
really
they're
cool.
like,
That's really
it was
cool.
really cool. It was,
It's like a
I
movie
treasure that memory.
experience.
It really was. It really was. And, I was like, I'll be on the radio tomorrow. And then 2 years later, my record came out.
Welcome to the music business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It took so long. But yes, right out of college, straight into a Christian record label.
Wow. And then you were there for a long time.
10 years.
Which is a long time.
In music years, that's
Yeah.
ancient.
Yeah. That's 2 NBA careers.
That's right.
And then
Yeah, I was thankful to be there as long as I was.
yeah. And now you're independent.
I am. So in between that deal and this, now I had another record deal for five
Yeah.
years, and now I'm completely independent, and I'm just starting to release a bunch of music on my own, starting with Mental Help last year.
Okay. Here's the thing, Josh. A lot of the people that will listen to this or will watch this are creative people. And I'm learning that there are a lot of people who sometimes can feel like not being a part of a record label or not being a part of some bigger system like that is the reason that they can't do something.
Hmm.
Have you found that not being a part of a record label has kept you from being creative? Or
Hmm.
like what's that experience been like for you?
Well, I think there's pros and cons, but everybody I talk to, and I share this sentiment, says that this is the best time to be independent that's ever been. There's so many tools at your disposal that it's a wonderful time as far as the logistics of being an artist. I'm having a blast. It things can move much quicker now. I joked about that first record taking 2 years. Well, that's because you have to I turned in close to 50 songs that sort of get, passed around. I know. Passed around, and like everyone says, I like this song. Well, I like this song. Okay, well, we can't agree, so go write 10 more. And you're just like, oh my gosh. And so now I can just put it out if I want to. Now there's some risk there too because it may be terrible and no one told me. Um, but at the same time, I've now done this long enough that I know what I
Yeah.
like. I've gotten better at getting to the result I'm going for. But I'm having a blast. I don't think there's anything wrong with either way. But I'm having a lot of fun doing it independently. It's kind of fun to, as an independent artist in college, when you and I made that second record of mine, and it's kind of fun to flex some of those muscles again and try and figure out like, okay, like how can I get this out into the world, and just everything moves more quickly. Um, it also, all of it comes straight out of your wallet, so you got to be
That is
careful
true. That is very
with what you
true.
spend.
Yes. Okay, so let's say there's somebody, if somebody comes up to you after a concert or something, and they're writing songs, and they ask you for a little bit of advice. What are one or two things that you typically would say to somebody?
I am trying to find the most helpful, kind way, because I get that question a lot. I'm trying to find the most helpful, kind way to encourage people to bloom where they're planted. And maybe you can help me
Oh,
workshop this
okay.
idea a little bit. Because, so I have another song, Dream Small, and
That
I
is a
truly believe
fantastic
this.
song, Josh Wilson.
Thank you, Andrew Osenga. I got discouraged when I was trying to write that song, because I was like, I'm going to write about a big idea that can go out and change the world. And I got discouraged because I couldn't think of anything in my own life that way. So I wrote about the little things instead. And, and I think dreaming big is fine, but that song is a reminder that dreaming small can make a big difference as well, thinking about the little things. And so when young songwriters or artists come after a show and they're like, what should I do? I think you should just keep doing your craft as much as humanly possible. You could think of the 10,000 hours. Is that Outliers, Malcolm
Oh,
Gladwell
yeah,
book? I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool. Which it just boils down to like work on your
Yeah.
craft. If you're a songwriter, write a song a day. If you're a guitar player, practice as many hours a day as you can. And also, along the way, share your music with the people who are right there in front of you, the people in your living room, the people at your little church. And, I mean, it's easier than ever to put it on the internet and all the places it can go, whether it's maybe that song you write every day, put up on your socials and just start sharing with people. Make sure you have a thick skin if you're going to do that. Lots of people like to tell you what's wrong with it.
Are you saying the
But
internet is not
also,
always the kindest place?
you know what? I got this hunch that it's not good for my mental health. The old internet, the worldwide Google box. No, I just want to tell people like, but bloom where you're planted sounds cliche. So I want to think of a way to like really fire people up to be like, it actually means something if I share this song with my grandma that I wrote for her. It truly does.
Mm.
You're not on a stage, and I mean you may be asking me something else, like the question, like, how do I get where you are on a stage? But I think the stage should be a byproduct of your passion about what you're doing. Like it'll happen if it's supposed to, and along the way, keep sharing your gift is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I certainly don't have a formula for success. I'm still trying to figure that out.
So let's talk about this. What do you think about AI and people using it for creativity? Is this a good thing, a bad thing? Are you scared about it? Are you excited about it? What do you think?
Hold on, I'm letting ChatGPT finish the answer to this question so I can read it.
Well played.
Um, I
Because I know you have thoughts about this.
so I call myself a realist, which I think is what a pessimist would call themselves if they were trying to be
Sure.
generous. So maybe I'm a pessimist. Um, I do love thinking about this stuff. I loved Yuval Noah Harari's books, *Sapiens*, *Homo Deus*, and his newest one, *Nexus*. Um, I think it's already cost a lot of people their jobs. It's really sad and scary in terms of knowledge work, because I think it can do a lot of that stuff. I think as far as music goes, I think soon it will be making good music.
Mm.
And I hate to say that, and I wish it weren't true, but I think it's already making music that's fine. And this is the worst it'll ever be. And it's getting better quickly. And so I do think people desire human connection and human-made music. I think if I had a choice between listening to a song that was made by Andrew Osenga or a song that was made by, name the app that came out today, of course I would choose you. I'm a fan anyways. But like, just the fact that you're a person and you're speaking from experience is so valuable. But I think the biggest problem is going to be in people knowing the difference. Like, I think if they don't know that it was made by the robot and it sounds as good as the human made, I think that's what's a risk to us. If it passes the Turing test.
And the Turing test is?
Alan Turing, that movie, The Imitation Game. It's basically like, as soon as, like, if you're interacting with a robot, as soon as like it's convincing enough that you think it's a human, it's sort of game over. Like, it doesn't matter. I want human connection, but if I think a human made this song and I'm listening to it, it could be really meaningful to me, but a human is missing out on having made that art because now the robot's making it. And I'm actually, like I said, it's meaningful. I think it's going to make good music soon. So I'm sorry to be a Debbie Downer.
Who
on your
wants
face.
To listen to, I mean, I know you said that. I think you said that, but I say all that, and then I also realize that there's a playlist that I think I've listened to a few times, like when I'm in my writing mode and I'm like writing my Substacks and stuff that's like ambient beats, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's like an AI thing, and I didn't realize it. I think I got suckered into it. It's like fake band names probably. And I thought it was dudes like me like making stuff in their basement. And I'm like, it's probably not. It's probably like AI.
Here's
slop.
the thing. Here is as Debbie Downer as all that was, here's two things that I think are really, I'm optimistic about. One is live shows.
Yeah.
You're going to know, I mean, no one wants to go see a hologram or go just hear a recording. And like, you want to see people playing music.
Yeah.
So I think live shows are not at risk. And then the other thing is, I think there's going to be a pushback. I think people like you and me, someone's going to figure out how to make a platform that's all human-made stuff. And a lot of people are going to want to support that, I think. Because it's important to me to listen to songs by humans. And so someone's going to figure out how to verify, and I don't know how, someone's smart. They're going to figure out some blockchain streaming service where it's like, this has to be a human-made piece of music. So I think there are smart people who are going to figure out, I think the arts are so important. And I think human-made art is going to be important to a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but I think it's going to be okay. I just think there's new challenges to figure out.
It's a challenge. It's scary stuff. I remember the first time I used ChatGPT, like I was like, okay, I'll try it out. What is this thing? And I like typed in something, I don't even know what I did. It was, write me an essay on something. And it did it in like, 4 seconds. And I mean, I physically got ill. Like my stomach.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
It freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I say all that to say, didn't you do like a hologram show one time?
I never did it. Someone was asking me,
You got invited to do
happen.
a hologram show.
I did, and I can't remember why it didn't happen, but it was some kind of thing where you go into this really cool studio and they film you from all the angles and then it projects somewhere else. I was actually really stoked about that, but it didn't happen.
Cool.
I know. If I get the opportunity again, I'm definitely going to do it. But I don't think anyone's interested in going to a hologram show. And this is why I think live shows are safe. Nobody cares about that.
No, I find it more and more exciting. And I'll say this too, when I go to a live show and it feels like it's mostly tracks. Yeah. Like I remember I think we went to see Justin Timberlake a couple years ago. And like there was a band playing, but you could tell like most of the time, like I couldn't tell if it was the band or not,
Right.
And it was like,
Totally.
But then you go see, Chris Stapleton or Wilco or something. And even if there's wrong notes, you're like, yes, they're really playing, Yeah. Oh, I saw Pearl Jam, dude.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam, and there was definitely those were dudes playing. They played everything so fast. They were out of tune. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
And it was like, oh yeah, real music, like real people. And I think part of why I was so I love them, but also it was so refreshing because there was just you immediately could verify it. You could see that we're humans, and you could just feel it. You know? I don't know. Yeah. It keeps me up at night though. It does stress me out.
It's stressful, and I mean, yeah, you should have on an AI expert to talk about all this stuff. I do find it fascinating, and it's comforting to me that there are lots of people who aren't doomsday about the technology. There's lots of people who are thinking of really neat things that'll come out of it, and I'm sure you and I have both benefited from something like a Chat GPT. Like I use it in partnership with my songwriting, whereas I used to use a rhyming dictionary. Now I can say I need a synonym for, love that is 3 syllables that rhymes with tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it can like reason and deliver me more useful results. But I'm still writing the song. It's just like a really amazing thesaurus. So yeah, I don't know.
I have a theologian friend who's really into this stuff, and he says that actually a lot of those GBTs are really interesting to use with theological research because they've been a lot of the earliest English language literature is like almost exclusively theological. Like most of the written stuff until like 1900 was all theological texts. And so most of the public domain, even the legal stuff that it could actually like be trained on was like, Augustine and Calvin and Luther. And like, so it like actually like, if you ask it a question about that stuff, it like really can reference that stuff very well. So when I was I actually did use it a good bit for like the book that I wrote on church history because it really found stuff that I was like, I never would have found this, and that I found really helpful because I don't have a degree in that stuff. I dropped out of college. Anyway,
smartest college dropout I know.
You're very kind. Now that you've been doing this for a while, if you were to look back at your career, what would you say is maybe the biggest disappointment or maybe even failure, thing that didn't turn out the way that you thought it would, that now you look back and you can say that you either you learned a lot from it or you are grateful for it?
Let me think for just a second.
And is there one?
I've had, over the years, being with the record labels I was with, there were radio folks, there were teams of radio people who would promote, my songs to radio. And a few of them, a handful of them they did pretty well. Like they got played on the radio, people would hear them, and then I would go places, and it was cool because I would sing my songs and people would be singing along. They had heard my song before I got there, which was neat. Towards the end of my time at both my labels, that aspect of what I do kind of tanked. Like you put out a song and I put all my hope in like it doing well, and some of them had. So I was like, oh, maybe this will, and it didn't do well. And I think that kind of probably led to, parting ways with the first label and then the second label too. It was like things weren't doing well enough on the radio, and it was really discouraging at the time. But I think it was in the end a good thing because I think I'm where I'm supposed to be now, and I'm also not. It's nice to not get so caught up in that. I mean, there's a literal chart that's like, here's an objective measure of whether or not your song is doing well. And the way I see that is like whether or not your song is good and whether you deserve to be doing this. So now that has sort of been taken out of the equation for me, that's just like this measuring stick that I don't have to think about. So my failure there gave me permission to not use it as a metric anymore.
after that happened the first time, was it harder to go in the second time?
My second record deal, I'm actually, as I'm thinking about the songs, I'm more proud of my singles. The second record deal, I think I got better as a songwriter. I do think I got more honest, and just in my style, I figured out a little more of what I wanted to do. So, and that record deal, I had two singles that did well, but then like probably four or five others that tanked. And so in some ways, it was easier to write the songs I wanted to write, but it was harder to land them at the radio because sometimes what I wanted to write wasn't necessarily the thing that was going to get played on the radio at the time. That's kind of a convoluted answer.
No, it's not at all. I remember you and I have had a conversation years ago. You wrote a song about it. About what was it? Writing the songs you needed to hear.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So, yeah, of course, at that first record deal, you were my A&R person, which,
for a little bit there, yeah.
A big part of that role is you helping me decide what songs to record, who to work with on production. And you were checking in with me one day, and yeah, you changed my mindset in a big way to this day, because you were like, hey man, how can I help? And I had some writer's block, and I was trying to write things that I thought would work on the radio or that people would want to hear. And so I said to you, I was like, man, just pray that I can write something somebody needs to hear. And like, you didn't miss a beat, and you were like, dude, just write something you need to hear. And since then, that has been a bit of a North Star for me, is like, do I believe this? Do I need to hear this? Okay, let's keep going.
Wow.
And if I ever veer off that course, yeah. And sometimes the songs I need to hear aren't the songs that maybe the majority of people need or want to hear. And I've just had to learn that that's okay. Like, my songs aren't going to be for everybody. But I hope that the people who they're for, they're really for.
Are you finding that to be the case?
Yeah. I mean, with mental help, there's a song on there called Jesus and Therapy. And that's a very concise...
What's it about, though?
Yeah. I know. I talk about on the nose. But so the people that song is for, it's really for. And then there's another song called God's Not Mad at You. And even the title, you're kind of like, and see, maybe it's for you, Andrew, because like that's I'm looking for the people that want to hear this stuff, and maybe that's not for everybody, but it's fun to keep trying to find my people.
It sounds like you're
write the songs I need to hear.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, just say write the songs that I need to hear and find the people that also want to come along.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're in like a different season where like there's like a season of trying to get pop songs on the radio. And then there's like, there's a season of, I'm trying to speak to people on a different level.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that's been a conscious decision, or is that just like been a natural, like, is that something that happens with age, or is that just have the songs taken you there? Do you feel that, or is that me kind of projecting that on you?
No, I do. I think part of it's age. Part of it is at this point in my career, I've released so many songs that I've already said so many things about subject A, B, and C. It's like, well, I could write another song about this. Or I could try and dig even deeper and find something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable to talk about, and hopefully makes people lean in, be like, God's not mad at you. Like, I want to hear that. So yes, I think it's age. I think there's a conscious decision, and it's not to disparage anything I've done or anything anyone else is doing. It's just like what excites me, what makes me lean in, whether it's a sound or a subject or just I've put a lot of stuff out there, and I want to keep putting things out there that I haven't already.
And that's really interesting.
I don't know.
That's I feel like there not just in the world we live in, but in music in general, art in general. I feel like there are a lot of people who have made a career and then go, well, to keep this ship afloat, I'm just going to keep doing what's worked. But it's brave to go, I'm going to try to write different songs and trust that there are people out there that are going to need these. I applaud that. And I think,
well, thank you.
I'm glad that there are people who are finding that and are supporting that. That's really awesome. What else is inspiring you these days, whether it's music or whatever? Like what else is lighting up the synapses in your brain these days?
I love hearing people disagree in a healthy way and have good, real conversation rather than just, Twitter, like clickbait stuff. Russell Moore, his podcast, he always has a thing where he says, he has a segment called Tell Me Where I'm Wrong.
I love it.
And he brings, so I like listening to those kinds of things.
Well, you said at the very beginning of this conversation that you always, how did you phrase it?
I just take the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know why I do it.
Yeah. So it's not a shock that you would like to watch people do that.
Yeah. It means I can never make up my mind. I mean, you should see me shop for toothpaste. It's like, Josh will be home tomorrow.
So what's next for you? What when you think about the next things in your creative career, primarily your creative career, but in the life, the next things that you're building and that you're putting your energy into, what are you dreaming about right now?
Well, as far as the live show goes, back in 2018 and 19, I had built up, I do a solo looping show, and I had built up
mean?
this so there's a loop pedal, if you've seen old school Phil Keaggy, or more recently like an Ed Sheeran, who has a pedal on the ground, and you can play your guitar and step on it, it records it, and then you step on it again and it plays back what you just played, and then you can add a second part and a third, and so by the end of the song it sounds like 5 or 6 guitars, but you've built them all in front of the audience. So that's how I've done most of my career.
And you add like other instruments into it.
Well, so I'm building it back up. Back in 2019, I had built what I called the Solo Experience Tour, and it was 10 instruments, and they were all like, I'd play a guitar part and it would keep going, and then I'd play piano and it would keep going, and end up on drums, and it was so much fun. I love doing that so much. And then COVID hit, and this is the next time you have me on, or maybe when you come on my podcast. But I had a mental breakdown in 2022, and thankfully I'm so much better. And now I'm to the point where I have the mental capacity. I'm like sort of rebuilding it all and kind of picking up where I left off back in 2019, and taking multiple instruments out. And I'm always careful to not make it just about the trick, or as we've called it, the spaceship on stage. I want to connect on a human level with people. So I use it. Something else, Andrew, you said to me that I think about a lot, I don't even know if you remember this, is like, as I get so obsessed with gear and pedals and sounds and all this, you told me, you're like, I think you have the tools. I think you just need to build something. Like, you don't need any more tools. Like, stop buying stuff. And so I'm careful to make sure that it's a balance of like, oh, this is a really cool, impressive, fun live show, but hopefully I connect on that human and heart level with my stories and my songs. So that's what I'm doing. I'm rebuilding the live show. I'm going to start releasing. I got a bunch of new songs, 3 of them that are mastered and ready to go.
Come on.
I think I'll be doing a new record before too long. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be putting out singles until the next record, which working title is Mental Hope.
Like a sequel?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
So we'll see. Don't hold me to it.
I will not. Can we go back? Can I ask you a question about the little breadcrumb you just dropped right there?
Yeah.
Do you mind? You said you had a little mental breakdown in 2022 during COVID.
Yeah.
Was that due to COVID?
Largely. touring
So
shut down in 2020, and I did backyard shows
I
because
remember,
that's the
yeah,
only
you had that
place.
little teardrop camper. So fun.
Yep, yep. I had a camper, and I did backyard shows, and I think COVID. I was really, really afraid to get COVID. I deal with anxiety
Yeah.
anyway, and as you know, as singers, our lungs are our living, and it's like, hey, here's this disease that could wreck your lungs. Um, and I think my anxiety just kind of started to
Yeah.
snowball. And it was like the more I isolated, the worse it got.
Mm.
And I stopped flying for a couple of years. At first I was just afraid to get COVID. And then eventually, once I wasn't as worried about getting COVID, hadn't flown in so long that I was anxious about flying.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, I'm just not going to fly anymore. And I didn't realize it, but I was just getting covered up by anxiety. And then in 2022, I had 6 shows between Tennessee and California, and I drove it by myself because I didn't want to fly. I drove to California by myself,
It's a long
playing
drive.
shows. And yeah, when I was in Montana, I mean, it just kind of hit the fan. My blood pressure was at stroke levels. I left the stay, or I got back to my hotel that night, and I just collapsed on the floor.
Mm.
My body was just done. All that anxiety had built up,
Mm.
and I was by myself, and I was having some massive panic attacks. And again, my blood pressure was insane, and I called my wife Becca, and I'm so thankful. She just kind of knows how to take care of a person. And basically she was like, well, she was coming to California, and she's like, if you can get to California, I'm coming there. And then she hopped in the car with me to drive to the next show because I couldn't get there by myself. And then she had to go back because Asher was going back to school. But I called my friend Josh, who lived in Salt Lake, where the show was. I was like, dude, I got to get home. I have these shows on the way home, and I can't do it by myself. He dropped what he was doing. He got in the car. He drove with me from Salt Lake, 2 shows to Omaha. He had to go home. And then my friend Jonathan, he flew out to Omaha. It was relay
I
race with
remember
Josh,
this. Yeah.
and got me home. And dude, I don't think I've ever been so mentally distraught as I was. And I came back home, and thankfully I had a counselor, and I got back in with him, and I got back on my medication, and I had some shows, and I canceled like 8 weeks of shows. And I was like, I have to get better.
Yeah.
I cannot function. And thankfully, with the therapy, with the rest, with the time with friends, and after about 6 or 8 weeks, I was able to start to function again. And then since then, it's been a steady tick up in what I feel like I'm able to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm back to normal now. And I tell you what, man, sometimes you just don't have control over what your brain decides to do, and you have to get the help you need. And that's what I had to do
Yeah.
in 2022.
It's a beautiful image of your friends taking turns just carrying you like that. I mean, that's beautiful. And thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And it's also interesting that when you would go back out, then would you just play songs on your guitar without any of the looping stuff?
No, I was looping, but it was just a real stripped down setup. It wasn't the multi-instrument thing.
Yeah.
Because that was too much. I was so stressed. It was just too much to keep up with. But I've had so many reps of just a guitar and a loop pedal that I can go do that. But yeah, man, when I came home for those 8 weeks, it was like I would sit on my back porch and just play this classical guitar. And that's like, I could barely get myself to do that. Just my hands were shaking for just weeks, and just rested.
Wow.
I went to the zoo, walked around the zoo by myself a lot.
It's a great zoo.
Nashville
Yeah.
Zoo, man. It's a great zoo.
And that's what led to the Mental Help record.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. All those songs are sort of my experience with that. And then I just released a song at that time. Two of the shows I canceled, Jason Gray went and played for me.
Oh,
I felt awful canceling, and I was going to try and do it, but I called Jason. I was like, dude, I have a show in Ohio. I don't want to leave him hanging. And Jason is, he's such a good guy. He was like, well, I'm going to, I forget what concert it was, and I'll probably be done by midnight, but I can just drive overnight and go play it
that
for you.
dude doesn't sleep.
He does not sleep. He doesn't sleep. And so he came through. He came and picked up the gear and went and did it. But so the song we just released is called Take It From Me. And the tagline is, when you don't have the faith to believe, take it from me. And it's about carrying each other's burdens. And he did that for me. When I got home from the relay race, he picked up the show baton and went and played him for me.
That'd be a good name for a band. Josh Wilson and the Relay Race.
Ooh, I like
Right?
that.
That'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Let's start a side project, you and me.
You know I'm in. You know I'm in. Man, that's awesome. Well, man, thanks for making time to chat today. I'm sure I'll see you later today. We'll be walking our matching dogs. We have matching dogs. We can let's end. We can share about this. My family has a toy poodle, 8-pound toy poodle named Pippa. She's very cute unless she's barking, and then you want to murder her. Josh has heard this, and we were on a trip, and right after we'd gotten her, and a few months after, and Josh and Becca, they watched her for a few days, and then a couple months later, they were like, "Hey, where'd you get that dog?" And then you guys got a matching dog.
It's so funny because I mean, it's true. It's true.
You
It's
have,
a
you
tiny
have to
little
look
dog.
at them pretty closely to realize that they're not the same
We
dog.
never thought we'd get a dog this small, and then we dog sat her, and we were like, I think we want to get one of these. So we weren't even looking, and Becca's mom, who lives in Tulsa, texted us a picture of this dog that looks exactly like Pippa. She's like, hey, these people in our neighborhood are getting rid of this dog. And I looked at Becca, I was like, should we get it? And this is not like me at all to be this spontaneous. And she was like, let's get it. And I called the people, and I was like, hey, how much do you want for the dog? And they're like, well, there's a waiting list. Someone's said they're going to come in 2 days to look at it. And I was like, can I come get it tomorrow? And I got in my car and drove to Tulsa and brought her home. So yes, her name is Ellie. And we had dreams of Ellie and Pippa being best friends, and they just don't really get along.
They're both kind of yappy. They just, they don't
Yeah.
like other dogs. But they do have matching sweaters, and
That's
it's
right.
pretty fun.
Yeah. So it is funny when you and I pass each other walking our dogs, we have to pick them up and pass each other,
Yeah.
and they just growl and bark at each
And
other.
we stand and
go on our
talk,
merry way.
and then we just kind of like
Yeah.
hold them like really tight so that they don't just annoy all our neighbors. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a delightful conversation. 50 yards away, or however far we are.
That's right.
It's comical that we're doing this. I feel like after
like
this,
it.
we should hang up and then just walk down the street and high five each other.
I'm down.
Okay.
I need to just go to the bathroom real quick, and then I'll
All
let the
right.
dog.
Well,
I'll meet you outside.
sounds great. Hey, you're awesome. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for sharing your story. It's wonderful. If people want to find you music, they want to come to shows, how do they do that?
JoshWilsonMusic.com. It's got all my socials, all my tour dates, all the things. Just add music to my
Pretty
name.
easy. Yeah, love it.
We try.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
See you, man.
I love that guy. I really do. He is the best. I'm so thankful for him. And I'm thankful for this conversation. I hope you loved it. I know you did. How can you not? He's awesome. His music is awesome. You can find it at joshwilson.com. He's at Josh Wilson Music on all the socials. He's about to start a Kickstarter, or he might have just started a Kickstarter for his new record. I'm not sure when this episode is going to drop, but you should support it. We need to support good people doing good things. So go listen to his music because it's awesome. Support him on Kickstarter. Also, You can support me by buying my book, How to Remember Forgotten Pathways to an Authentic Faith. If you have bought it, thank you so much. Would you go to Amazon and leave some kind reviews? That would be super helpful too. A couple other things that would be helpful. You can subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, and you can subscribe to my Substack. That's where I write every week about faith and culture and music and all kinds of things. That's where you can also get in touch with me about the podcast. Anything you'd like to see, questions, ideas. How can we make this as good as we can for you? Because we want this to be a great show for you. Thank you so much for listening, watching, hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week with another great episode. And for now, go do something awesome.